in this video, I'm going to be taking us through an end-to-end tutorial of uploading data into an S3 bucket, pipelining that data through Amazon Athena, and finally visualizing that data with Microsoft Power BI. This video is going to be divided into three main sections. So let's dive right in. So now the first stage of this video, we are going to go straight to Amazon AWS console. And then we are going to sign in. So for those of us that don't already have an AWS account, you'd have to create an initial account, also known as a root account. That is the first account you always create is what is known as the master account, which has limited permissions to everything. But then as part of their policies, we like to apply the principle of least privileged. So it is essential that you create a user account after creating that root account. So for me, I already have an account, so I'm just going to log right in. So now we are in the AWS console in my account. So you can see on the left hand side, these are the various services that I have visited. AWS is a cloud technology service that provides so many different services, from security to data storage to visualization to so many different things too. So these are the services that I have recently visited. So now that we are in the console, the first step is to first identify the region that we are working from. I'm working from Africa, so I'm just going to click here and select a region in Africa that is closest to me. Unfortunately, Ghana is not in the list, but then we have Cape Town here, so I'm going to select that since it is the closest to me. Always select the region that is your region or the region closest to you. So I'm going to click on Cape Town, South. Right. So now I'm in the AF South one, that is Cape Town. And the first thing we are going to do is to go straight to our S3 bucket. So you can either search for the S3 bucket at the top of the screen or select it from your recently accessed. So I'm just going to right click on the first option, S3 meaning scalable storage or simple scalable storage. So I'm just going to right click on that, open it as a new tab. Right, and so now we're in the S3 bucket console. So in the S3, I have already created a number of buckets. Now what are buckets? Buckets are storage locations for your data. So S3 is a location or a database that is meant to store data, right? So the first thing we have to do, as I've already done here, is to create buckets. I have a financial bucket, sales bucket, AWS Glue asset bucket. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new bucket and call it financial reports bucket. So bear in mind, when you're typing the name, everything has to be in lower caps. And I'm just going to create that bucket. Oh, so the same name already exists, so I'm just going to add something to make it unique, like V1. And our bucket has been created. So when we scroll down, you realize that a new bucket has been added to the list called Financial Report Bucket 1, bucket version 1. And so the next step is to go into our bucket and create some folders. So the folder we'll create is where we will upload our data set to. So let's create a folder. let's name it raw financial data. Great, so we have our first folder. Now I mentioned that in the second phase of this video we will be querying data in Athena, and because of that I'm going to create another folder which would serve as a destination for all the queries that we would create in Athena. So let me just create a destination folder and name it Athena queries. Athena financial report queries. Great, so let's create that as well. You don't need to create the second folder if you don't intend to get or make use of Athena, but then because of that, the second part of the video, that's why I created that. So now I'm going to go to the first folder I created, raw financial data folder, and then I'm going to upload our financial data set into this folder inside our financial reports bucket. So I'm just going to click on the upload button on the far right hand side. So I'm going to click on add file right here, and then go to the location of the file on my computer, click on it, click on open, select the file, and then upload. And so we have completed the first phase, which is to upload our financial or upload data into an S3 bucket. So now if we go back to the bucket itself in the raw financial data folder, in fact when we go back a step, we can see that when we click on the financial reports bucket we created, and then we click on the raw financial data folder and go into that folder, we have the financial data set that is sitting there. Now in the S3 bucket, you can't have a preview of the data in the financial in an S3 bucket, but you can do that in Athena. And so the second phase of this video, we are going to dive into how to query data in Athena. But before we get there, we would have to upload the metadata for this data set into AWS Glue, which is a service that is specific to creating. Now AWS Glue is a service that specializes in the transformation of data, and so it is in AWS Glue that we will be creating a data catalog which we need in order to query data in Athena, right? So we are going to upload the metadata for this financial data set into AWS Glue. So that will be our next step. So let's go right there. So I'm going to just go back on this step, and I'm just going to search for AWS Glue. Now we see that AWS Glue has popped up, but before we do that, we also have to ensure that we give AWS Glue all the necessary permissions in order to access the data in S3. In Amazon Web Service, you need permissions for everything. You need to assign roles to services or users, and so we can do that making use of the identity and access management service. So let's go there to create the necessary roles. So I'm just going to search for IAM, which stands for Identity and Access Management. I'm going to open this as a new link. We're going to go to roles on the left hand side of the screen, click on roles, and we are going to create a role, and this role is going to be for AWS Glue. So let me just search for Glue. Now it's actually supposed to be a role for S3. So S3, and I'm going to click on next. And here we're going to select the necessary permissions that we want for that role. So we want to have full access to the S3 bucket. Full access. Let me just type S3. Scroll down till we see Amazon S3 full access. This is what we need, so I'm going to click on that. What we also need is full access to Glue, so I'm going to select AWS Glue or just Glue and click on the AWS Glue console full access. So I'm going to select these two and click on next. We need to give the role a name, so let's name it S3 Glue for access. All right, and then create role. Great, so we have a new role created, S3 Glue full access. And so now we can go to our AWS Glue and then dive right in. So I'm just going to search for Glue again. I'm going to click on that. Now in Glue, we need to create a destination folder or a destination repository where metadata from the data that we have uploaded in S3 would sit in AWS Glue. So we are going to go to databases. So on the left hand side of the screen, you can see databases right under data catalog. So I'm going to click on that and notice that I already have one database created named SalesDB. We are not going to use that. We are going to create a new database. So click on add database and give it a name. So let's name it Financial DB for short. Financial DB. Create a database. Now we're going to go into that database and we are going to try to upload the metadata from the S3 bucket into this database. So we're going to do that making use of AWS Glue's crawler. So you can see add table using crawler. Now I have to note that you can either upload the data manually, but then it's faster to make use of the crawler. So I would advise we always make use of the crawler. So add table using crawler, we select that option and give the crawler a name. Let's name it Financial Crawler. So the crawler is basically going to scrape the table of its metadata and upload it right here. So Financial Crawler. Next. Not yet. Is your data already mapped to Glue tables? Not yet. List of data sources to be scanned. So we are going to add a data source here. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to go to the location of the data, which is in our financial bucket, financial report v1, in the raw financial data folder. I'm just going to select that folder and click on choose. And it's important to take off the last backslash. So note that when the backslash was there was an error, but once I took it out, everything was okay. So it's important to take note of the backslash, which could cause you errors, right? So I'm just going to click on add an S3 data source now. Click on next. And note that they're asking you for the role. So the role that we created in IAM is what we're going to select from this drop down. So I'm going to click on the drop down, scroll through for the role that we created. Now if it didn't appear, then it means that we didn't actually create the role, so we have to do that again. So let's go back to IAM and let's see if we can find that role. That's right, I should have selected. Okay, so let's create a role again. I'm going to click on create role for AWS service, and instead of S3, I'm going to select Glue. Click on next. S3 full access. And then Glue full access. And then click on next. Role name, let's name it financial role version 2, since the second time we're creating it. Click on create role. Financial role v2 has been created. So we have financial role created there. Now let's go back to this crawler. Let's refresh this. So I guess we have to start this process again. So let's name it financial crawler. Click on next. Add the data source. So I'm just going to select the data source, which is in S3 bucket. So we are going to select the path or the folder that houses the data set that we need. So I'll click on browse, select the bucket, select the folder. Note you don't need to select the actual file, just the folder that houses the file. Click on choose and take out the last backslash you see over here. So I'll take that out. Click on add. Click on next. And in my roles, I'm now going to look for the role we created in IAM, which was financial role v2. So I'm going to select that and then click on next. And it's going to ask me what target database do I want the metadata to sit in. So I'm going to look through the options, and you know we created a database called Financial DB in AWS Glue. So we're going to select that option and then click on next. Leave everything as it is. Review and then create crawler. So we have successfully created a crawler, and now we're going to run that crawler so that it hopefully extracts the metadata from our data set. So this may take some few minutes. Okay, so our crawler has run successfully, and you can see that the status says completed. Right, so now we are done with AWS Glue, and we are going to move on to Athena. So if you're interested in querying the data, let's go to Athena. All right, I'm going to search for AWS Athena. I'm just going to open that. Great. Now, before you do anything, you need to manage the settings and identify the location of where you want the query results in Athena to go to. So in this options, we are going to look at the location of the query results. So I'm going to select the folder that we created in our reports bucket v1. So once I click on report bucket v1, I'm going to click on Athena financial report queries. That's the initial folder we created, and I'm going to choose that and save. Right, then I'm going to go back to Amazon Athena, or the Power Query, the query editor, and you notice that on the left hand side of the screen we have data source, which shows data catalog, and the database has automatically selected Financial DB, although there are other databases. Remember this one, sales DB, great. But we are working with a financial DB, so it's already selected. If it's not, you just select it, and right under the tables you can see that they've written the name of the folder, raw financial data folder, right? So if you click on that plus sign or icon beside it, we have a preview of the columns that exist in the table and also the data types that have been assigned to it as well, right? So this is the first preview of the data, or we can go on to actually query that data in the query pane or canvas provided on the right hand side. So let me just write a query, select all from raw financial data. It's popped up, so I'm just going to select that, and then I'm just going to click on run. Great. So we are querying data in Athena. It's as simple as that. So let's say I want to create a query where I see sales by countries. Select from raw countries. Let me just look at that again. It's country, right? Country, come on, sum of gross sales. Group country. Great, and a query has run. Great, so we realize that we have, a summary right there. If we want to, let's say, query out specific columns in the data set, we can also do that. If we want to see the total count of the data set, it already shows as 688 results here. Let's say we want to see only sales, or let's say the financial history with regards to just a single country, let's say Canada. We can query it like how we would do with regular SQL queries. Select all from raw financial data where country equals Canada. Just run this. Great. And so we have 137 results, and you can tell if I scroll that all the countries are Canada. We can also check, let's say, where the discount band is high, where country is Canada and discount is a discount band rate equals high. I'm going to run this. No results. Let's see if it's a spelling issue. Great. So I guess it's a bit case sensitive, but yeah, the queries are running. So basically we have now been able to upload data into an S3 bucket in Amazon Web Service. We have been able to create metadata in AWS Glue, and we have been able to query that data in Amazon Athena, right? So in the next phase of this video, we are going to go through how to connect AWS to Power BI through Athena, using ODBC. So if you're interested, stay with me and then I'll dive right in. So what we are going to do first is we are going to download an ODBC driver from our AWS Athena store online. I have the link and I'll put that in the description for anyone and everyone interested in that in the browser. So the driver we need is an Athena ODBC driver, right? Athena ODBC 1 driver. And what we're going to do is we're going to install it. So I need the 64-bit version, so I'm just going to click on that, and then we're going to wait for it to download. So our Athena driver, our Simba Athena driver has fully installed. So we are going to, it's fully downloaded, so we're going to install it. I'm just going to click on that. Click on next, accept the terms, click on next, select the location and install. Great, so it's done installing. So the next step we are going to do is to go to our search bar and select or search for ODBC, right? And yeah, look for the ODBC data sources 64-bit, select that one. And when this box pops up, we are going to click on system DSN. We are going to click on add, and we are going to look for Simba Athena ODBC driver. I'm going to click on this, click on finish. Great. And so now we have to fill this with information that is going to enable Power BI to recognize AWS. So first we need to give it a name. So let's name it AWS Access. Let's name it AWS ODBC Access. And I'm going to use that same name as the description. Now it's asking for the region. So remember when we were learning how to upload the data into an S3 bucket, I mentioned that you have to first select the region, and we selected South Africa because that's closest to me. So the region we will get from our AWS console. So if you click on the global option, you can see the names of the regions there, and what we selected is Cape Town AF South 1. So I'm going to type that in, and also we need to add the S3 output location. So the folder that we created that has the queries, or serves as the destination for the queries in Athena, we're going to take the path of that folder and put it right here. So we're going to go back to S3, our S3 bucket, right? I'm going to click on the financial report bucket, click on the Athena financial report queries folder, right? So in this folder, this is the folder that we actually need. So I'm just going to, in fact, select this folder, and then on the top right hand side you can see copy S3 URI. So I'll just click on that. I'm pasting it in my notes first so you can see it, and then we can go straight to paste it in the S3 output location box. And we're going to click on authentication options, right? So we need to put a username and a password. Now, because this is supposed to serve as a connection between Power BI and AWS, we need an access key and a secret key, which we can get from the AWS Identity and Access Management console. So we are going to go there and create a user. So I'm just going to go back to the AWS console, click on IAM, and this time I'm going to click on users. So now I already have a user created, which I've named Richie Q, but then for the purpose of us learning how to go about it, I'm just going to create a new user. So I'm going to click on this user, give it a name. Let's name it Power BI user. Let's name it AWS Power BI user. click on next, and we are going to have to assign permissions to it. We can either assign a group to it or assign specific roles to it. If you want to create a new group, you just click on create group. And what are groups? Groups are actually basically a series of permissions that you want to grant to a specific user grouped up in one. But what we need here is the S3 full access, because we want to connect Power BI to an S3 bucket. So we can look for S3 here in this list. Sorry, I'm looking at it in the wrong way. S3, and select the Amazon S3 full bucket. But I've already created a group, so I'll click on cancel and select the group which has the S3 full access in there. So I'm going to click on next, create user, and now I'm going to click on the user and go to security credentials and create an access key. So I scroll down, I'm going to click on create access key, and we need this to be used. We're going to use this for a third party service, which is ODBC and the driver. So I'm going to select the third party service option, click on understand, and click on next, and give this a name. I'm running out of names. AWS Power BI access keys. So create access keys. Great, so we have this, which is our access key as this text, and then our secret key which shows. At the end of this video, I'm going to delete the role, delete the user, delete the permissions and everything I used for the video. And so there's no point in actually hiding this. So I'm going to just select the access key, DSN authentication, and drop it there. And I'm going to select the secret access key, go back, paste it as our password, then click on OK. And I'm going to test, click on test, and our test is successful. So I'm going to click on OK. We're going to click on OK, select OK again, and the final phase is we are going to open Microsoft Power BI and try to connect. Great. So in the Power BI console, we are going to click on Get Data, click on the More options, and we are going to search for ODBC. ODBC. So once we click on Connect, we might need to sign in with the same access key and security key. So note that the name that we created, AWS Connect, shows there. So click on it and click on OK. So with username and password, it's going to be the access key and secret key. So I'm going to go back to the console, select the access key, paste that there, select the secret key, paste that there, and connect. Great, so we can view the data catalog here. So I'm just going to click on the drop down. So you realize that the databases that exist in my AWS S3 buckets are showing up here. So I'm going to click on the financial DB folder and click on the raw financial data folder. Great, so we have a preview of all the columns, from sales to country to dates to discount band, all of it. So now we can transform the data in Power BI's Power Query editor and also load the data directly into Power Query to Power BI and start creating our report. So note that the data has been loaded successfully into the Power Query editor. We can make transformations where there is a need for it, but for this video I don't want to make any transformations, so I'm just going to click on close and apply. And our data has been successfully loaded into Power BI. So on the right hand side, when I click on the drop down arrow, we can see all the columns available, and we can now start creating our reports. So let's say I can use the country column and the sales column to create a graph or a chart. Right. So this is proof that the data that's sitting in an S3 bucket is now available for visualization in Power BI. Now I hope everyone has learned something new. If you want to learn how to create very beautiful interactive dashboards, please check my channel and watch out for my next video.